Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisdom Save podcast. On this week's episode, so nice you got it twice. Hannah has already, I didn't mean to spoil it, but Hannah has already revealed to me the topic of her, of this podcast. Hannah, if you'd like to take it away.
Well, it's my episode, and I liked the group episode we did so much that I made another quiz.
She literally immediately after that episode, actually, like not when it went up on Wednesday, but like when we could view it in its format because we were like scheduling it to upload. She just started listening to it immediately. And she's just like, "I got to do the second quiz."
Yeah, like we're probably gonna do a few more quizzes. I don't know if I'll have us post all of them, I guess, unless you guys are really liking them. Some people really liked the first one.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. Like, we got a couple of pretty good comments, not just from our D&D players, but also from people who were like, "Hey, like, I get to know these characters a little bit better from the stories you guys tell about them," and like, it makes me wonder how other people view the characters without knowing them.
Right.
Like what elements of them come out.
You don't know how tempted I've been.
Yeah.
To like, now that we have the podcast set up where I have the computer and the microphone and stuff, just like bring it to D&D and record sessions.
Oh wow!
Just plop the microphone in the middle of the table and
just see what happens.
And just record a few sessions and like post them.
That could be interesting.
But also they're like 6 hours long, and
yeah, they're usually like 6 hours long. Sometimes we like do random stuff and goof around in the middle of it, which is fine. But like, I don't know if y'all want to listen to a 6-hour podcast
of campaigns that are like in the middle of the campaign.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. Fucking Vox Machina did it.
I almost recorded. I almost started recording because I recorded our final fight with Tiamat.
Oh yeah, we have that. We have that on a YouTube account somewhere.
Yeah, I have that on a very bad recording.
Well, yeah, that was like your fucking. You had like a video camera and like a prop made out of books or something.
Yeah, I shambled that shit together.
Right.
Just to see if I could like get good recordings of it, and obviously I've come a very long way with recording stuff from there.
Right, sure. Yeah, I think we all have for sure, but you definitely have been like finding new and innovative ways to kind of capture elements and moments of it.
But I almost recorded the Dawn Valkyries from the beginning.
Oh,
but then I was like, you know what? I was like, no, forget it. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing too. Is it like because the base and the core of the early part of the campaign was like based in Out of the Abyss. I knew there was going to be a lot of like walking simulator parts, like your travel through the Underdark, and I'm like, they don't want to listen to that. Well, but like it would have been for it would have been for us.
Well, also we eat chips and stuff, so you'd hear crinkling of bags
lots of crunching and drinking tea and.
So, we'll probably just figure out another way to record sessions or something like that aren't our full group, but maybe in the future.
Yeah. Exactly. We're inching ever closer to eventually working on that solo campaign.
Yeah, on a D&D podcast.
Many times in the early days of our podcast before we realized how much of a time crunch an entire solo campaign would be.
But regardless, we have a whole other 15 questions. I doubt this will be the last one that I post. I probably won't post another one right in consecutive order. I do plan on, I'm going to spoil it right now, I plan on my next podcast topic being the Ravnica group. Like, we're just going to sit down and talk about them because because nobody knows the Ravnica group.
That's funny.
Oh, is yours
That was totally what I was intending.
Well, then you do it, because it makes more sense for it to go.
So have another one in your back.
I'll think of another one.
So the next one's not spoiled. You have a slew of our content, but we did mention in the last episode, I think we pretty much said, like, they don't really know the Ravnica characters, so we should do a whole thing about Ravnica, the setting and the characters and how they all interact and stuff.
So
we still have that one.
So if you were in the last episode where you heard me, go to the next episode, and then it'll be in the Ravnica like description will be the next podcast, but then you looked forward and you're like, why is it another quiz? It's because I needed another quiz. So then go to the next one. That's the Ravnica one.
Yes.
But I decided to do less questions about the overall group, because before I think it was 333, Worm Tamers, Dawn Valkyries, Ravnica, and then like 6 anybody out of any campaign questions.
Sure.
And
like the original format.
Yeah, and then this one is 555, so it's 15 questions still, but it's 5 questions about Worm Tamers, 5 questions about Dawn Valkyrie, 5 questions about Ravnica.
Yeah, and I like that a little bit more for getting more of a deep dive into the party. Like the group, like out of everyone questions were good, like to learn a little bit about like how each of the players organize their characters in their head. But like I think the thing I was most excited about was learning about the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can do more character focused question when you're not lumping everyone's characters together across all campaigns.
Right, it's a little less confusing.
Yeah.
But they're still organized, and I figure since we've already been talking about it for about 6 minutes, that we should start.
Just jump right
because this is going to be a little bit longer.
That's true. This might. Oh God.
I personally could not wait for Ken to finish his quiz, and I did look forward into a few different of these answers.
Oh no! Spoilers.
But not a lot of them. I only looked at a few because I was just really curious. And I'll let you know which one was the one I remembered most out of any of them.
You juicing on me, bro?
Juicing on you, bro?
Yeah, you juicing? You taking roids before the big game?
Yeah.
That's what's going on here?
Yeah, eat my shit.
Oh, man, I can't believe it. I can't believe I've been so bamboozled. It'll be fine. I have not read any of these, besides my own, of course, right. So I have plenty of hype to pass around.
The first question was who's filling out the form. That's going to give us our order.
Right. So the order is
Kyle, Ryan, me, and Ken.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we're both on the same page. Sometimes when we're both looking at the quiz, it gives different orders to everyone's questions. So as long as we're on the same page, we're good. So then if you're third, you should read Kyle's, yes. And then I'll read Ryan's. That way we can alternate like last time.
I'll read Kyle's and mine, and you'll read Ryan and Ken's.
Sure, done.
So do you want to start with the first question, or do you want me to?
I can start with the first question. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question we ask, and these are the first 5, which means they're Worm Tamer questions. First question is, you get taken into custody for a minor crime. You get 1 call to a member of the Worm Tamers to come post bail and get you out of jail. Which Worm Tamer do you call?
Okay, so Kyle said...
And this is for you, the person.
Yeah, this is for us as people. Which Worm Tamer would you call to get you out of prison?
Yeah.
Kyle said, post bail. Oh, if I wanted to be shamed into the next era, I'd pick Melisanna. Raffi would probably be a sensible choice. He'd just shake his head disapprovingly. I'd choose Geth, but he'd probably not bail me out and let me simmer in the consequences of my actions. Callista would be a good choice. She'd probably make a good story out of it and change the name to save me embarrassment. Lundquist would bail me out of jail, but he'd tell literally everybody about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Unity would get me out of jail without bail and keep her mouth shut about it, and I wouldn't have to pay the bail because she's crafty and resourceful and definitely not lawful enough to care about that sort of thing.
Sure. So he has a pretty good list of, like, a lot of people and, like, why he would or why he wouldn't necessarily.
Kyle, you got 1 call.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I think he's more like talking through it.
Right.
I think he's kind of.
I think he went with Unity in the end.
Yeah, like I think he went with Unity. Well, no, because that's the thing is that you have to risk like you're breaking the law. So it's like he kind of had a whole list of like here are all of the different reasons why I'd pick one of these people, but it's one of these people. If the thing would be a funny story.
Yeah.
Then he'd either pick Callista or Lundquist. Whether Lundquist if it's like, haha, let's laugh about it, or Callista if it's like, hey, I really need you to like cover my ass on this. If neither of those things are true, and he needs to just get the fuck out of there, then he's calling Unity. But he's kind of making a point of like, these are the people I would trust most to do it, but it depends on why I'm there.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I kind of did that, but not to as deep of an extent for my answer, but we'll see.
Okay, well, then go for Ryan's.
Okay, so Ryan said Luciano.
Oh.
And I think that's pretty fair. If I remember correctly, he's a government-sanctioned pirate, and I feel like he's probably got the most experience with this sort of thing. I think you're correct, and that's why I think it's a wise choice.
It was fair enough, I suppose.
It may not necessarily be the choice that some of us went with.
I feel like if I called Luciano, he wouldn't pick up his phone.
If you did, well, that's because you and Holly are very similar. And if Holly called and was like, "Hey, you need to break me out of jail," he'd be like, "I have a thing." And like,
oh, Basha. If Holly called Luciano, he'd be like, "Who's dead?"
Yeah,
because fucking.
What happened? You called me?
Yeah.
You need me? Something fucked happened.
Yeah, like if Holly ever called.
Is everyone else dead?
Yeah, did everyone else die? If Holly called Luciano.
Yeah.
He'd immediately pick up.
Oh yeah. No
he'd
question.
shit his pants and pick up the phone and be like, "What happened?"
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be like, "Nothing. I just need to get out of jail."
Yeah. Exactly. It'd be perfect.
But I feel like if I called him, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm doing stuff."
Right. Yeah. Maybe. That might be it.
That's my opinion.
I think that's fair. So now, what do you think?
Oh, me.
Yeah. That was Ryan's.
I said, honestly, Petra. Ravi being a close second.
Mm.
But she's stuck with Lundquist through hell and high water, married the fucking idiot.
and manages, is that what it says? Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah, and manages that maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Plus she followed me as Holly into the streets to help assassinate someone that was absolutely not her problem, but she was absolutely clutch with it.
Yeah. God, yeah. Save your ass in that fight. She would have killed you.
She's the kind of lady that would always have your back no matter what. Yeah. Like, I feel like you just call Petra and you're like, "I need you to post bail and get me out of jail," and she'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah. I think Petra was objectively a very, very good choice for this question, just because, like, Petra is, like, she's just, like, she's 100% bad bitch energy.
Yeah.
Like, she just, like, you need something done, she's getting it done for you. I mean, she followed Holly and, like, went to go protect her and, like, helped her prevent herself from being assassinated.
Yeah.
And she did that, like, what? She had given birth, like, a week before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had twins. And then went to a council of, like, world leaders to try and save the world from a cult. And thus promptly followed Holly into the streets and helped her kill a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's all on the DL. She never sold me out either.
Yep, nope. She's ride or die. She made sure you got medical attention, but she never ratted you out.
Yeah.
Yep.
That lady's a fucking badass.
Yeah, she's incredible. Petra's an absolute killer. Yeah, I mean that's like I was thinking honestly, like, those were both pretty great for like resourceful answers. Luciano and Petra, I think, are both like two of the more resourceful answers, I would argue. My answer.
Okay.
First of all, definitely not Cyrano. He, like, of most of all, he would be a no for that one. That would be an unmitigated disaster. Even the smallest responsibility invested in him would be destructive.
He takes his position as the Master of Science very seriously.
Yes, but it's a joke position. The whole point of him being the Master of Signs is that we can tell Cyrano he's responsible for something, that scratches the itch, and he never asks to be responsible for anything ever again.
Except for that one time he wanted to be a captain.
Right, and then we had to pull some bullshit to get him to stop talking.
We made him captain, but we listened to somebody else.
Yes, and he didn't, and that's fine. You can distract him so much. But the second you give Cyrano an ounce of responsibility, he will bungle it into oblivion.
That man has a child.
He has a child and a wife. But he is a beautiful disaster. I love Cyrano so much. I wouldn't trust him with making me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's not his fault.
There'd be a sign in it.
He's just utterly incapable of performing basic tasks.
Fair enough.
I love him, but he can't. However, there are two situations in which I would call a different person, but it's between those two people. If I'm just looking to post bail the normal way, I would call Luciano. He's got money, and he won't judge me for whatever petty crime I committed like Melisanna would. But if for some reason getting out or posting bail would be a challenge, I'm calling Asher.
Oh, yeah.
Motherfucker can bend metal with his bare hands. Just try to keep me.
I've literally said that before, where I was like in that position where I might potentially go to jail.
Right. Yeah.
As Holly.
Near the end of the campaign. Yeah.
And I was like, watch them try to fucking put me in jail. Asher's gonna come down here. He's gonna bend the bars, and like I'm gonna get out, and like they can put me back in a different cell, but then he'll just open those too. It's like, yeah, you're really gonna try and keep me in jail right now?
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Like, he's actually a superhuman with giant strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening. Like, he will wait until such a time that he can just waltz in, and he'll just yank me out. And who's gonna stop him? Absolutely no one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So those are the two people I would call.
Well, the next question was, what's the biggest decision that each of your worm tamers had to make?
Ooh.
Okay.
This is a nice, big, long answer.
These are big, these are long, the words are tiny, and I'm dyslexic as fuck, so if I stumble across this...
That's okay.
Don't judge me about it.
No, that's totally fine. You can take your time with it. We have plenty of time.
Kyle said...
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the easy one out of the way first. Satanta hasn't really had to make any big decisions that impacted the campaign as a whole, but I think the coolest decision he's made was taking Holly's broom to go face the Blue Dragon head-on so that he could prevent it from razing the village at Ironholm.
Yeah.
Callista's biggest decision, probably convincing Holly to let Keith Decay live at the beginning of the campaign.
Ooh, that's a big one. Because that's the thing, is that, like, I loved the wording of this question because it's the biggest decision, not the best, not the worst, the most important, the most impactful. That was huge.
That was a really
But
big
it also was kind of a negative decision.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You can have big negative decisions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I like this question.
It had the biggest impact as a whole, though it was such a little thing. Other than that, I don't think there were any other big ones other than choosing to date Goran Duscrin.
Well, that's another one.
It's a big one too. It led to Noir.
That's the thing. It led to Noir, and it also led to so much plot in the next campaign because of the name Duscrin. But that character existing, it didn't have a big impact on Callista. It had a big impact on the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the ones that I picked are definitely like less impactful in comparison to these.
Interesting.
Unity has two major decisions that made big waves. One was when she tried to help Luciano resolve his traumatic past by making him confront his past directly in front of everybody.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong happens there. But the other decision, well, it may or may not have been her idea to have the portable hole fall into the tapestry. That accidentally made an entire castle full of demons.
They accidentally an entire castle full of demons.
That accidentally?
Yeah, it's a meme. It's not like you leave out the verb of what is happening. It's just
accidentally an entire castle full of demons instead
of
I
accidentally.
I see.
Castle, yeah.
Instead of having to kill them all one by one. Which had no repercussions at all. Nope.
Gotcha again.
When you think about it, if it wasn't for the Tiefling twins, a lot of bad shit in the entire campaign, outside of the modules, probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but how much content would we have missed out on? Like, Callista and Unity get content creator credit in my entire last campaign, right? Like they get like a little bit of co-DM credit, I would say, because like decisions that both of them made that seemed like reasonable spur of the moment decisions or like in character decisions at the time just had just overwhelming consequences.
Oh yeah.
In the long term, and I think that's really neat. Okay, yeah, so I love all of those. Those are all big moments for those characters. I will read Ryan's now. So, for starting off with Lem, which, I mean, obviously, that seems like the biggest one, even though it happened near the end of the last campaign. His biggest one was cutting off his pact with Belial. There was a lot riding on this. He loses all of the power that he was loaned, but he ensures that he himself oversees the Iron Veil. At the same time, everything he's earned to get his family name back into good graces has been on borrowed strength. He has to give up very real power, which he could use to enforce his order and will, to remain fully in charge of his domain. He sees it as a necessary step, but a very dangerous one as well. The choice has also had some very long-lasting consequences, but it's not one he regrets. Because that was the thing, is it like he was all about like reclaiming his entire like his name and his country and his lands and like his titles on his own terms. And he kind of realized at the end, it's like, I did it on Belial's terms. Like, I did it on borrowed power.
Right.
And so he's like, the only way that I can prove to myself that I'm worthy of what I've built is if I cut myself free of this.
Right.
And it had long-lasting implications that continue to permeate through the next campaign. But it also was like an important character moment for him.
Right.
And I do like that one a lot for him. Geth is our next one.
Okay.
He says, so there was a bit on Blagothcus's castle where the party was overwhelmed by cultist forces and they were given a choice to be captured to allow for another chance to escape or killed. Geth desperately did not want either to happen. To fall there was to let the cult of Tiamat take victory over a champion of Bahamut and prove that they had real strength that he couldn't challenge through his faith and righteousness. After a long and hard fight, he had to choose to trust his companions and be captured. This isn't how he likes to do things, but it did give him some respect for alternative methods.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember that. Holly was also not happy with that situation.
Yeah, well, because that was when Kellen and like you saw Skyreach Castle was flying away.
Yeah.
And the cult was on board the castle, and you couldn't quite reach it in time. And that was when Kellen and Callista dimension doored to the outside of the castle.
Yeah.
And it was just the two of them for a while. And you guys had to go fucking steal wyverns and then emergency, like, bond with them and ride them towards the castle.
I animal friendship them, I'm pretty sure. Or
that's right, yeah.
And then we just took them and we, like, tried to go as fast as we could, only to show up, fight for a few minutes, and then get captured.
Yeah.
But that was so like that's the thing too, is like I understand like
that was the epic finale of the first half of that campaign.
But also that was a big moment for Geth. But also like Geth didn't have any trouble getting out of that thing. Holly was sitting there fucking headbutting the thing and kicking the thing and getting electrocuted, and he fucking Misty stepped out of the cage. Yeah. And he's like, "Ha-da-da."
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, is like getting out was a thing, but I think
the big moment wasn't that. I know.
Right. Ryan's whole point was that like he didn't want to give up. He would rather die.
He would rather have tried to,
because it felt to him like Tiamat was winning over Bahamut.
Yeah.
But he trusted his companions in that moment and said, "Hey, no, these guys are going to get me out of this situation. I'm going to take my revenge, and this isn't going to be the story of how Tiamat beat Bahamut.
Yeah.
This is going to be the story of how the clever paladin of Bahamut and his loyal companions defeated evil against all odds."
Right.
And he was determined at that, and that was because
he was new to us. That was He was like he joined us on the caravan that like led us to that place.
Yeah.
Where we met with the castle. He was like very new with us.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, is that like the character, like the interactions weren't quite there. So many of us have been friends for years, and he was like a new dude who had the same goal as us.
Yeah.
And that was the first moment where I think Geth was like, no. I have to trust in these people, and I have to trust that they're going to get me where I need to go. And we did it. And at that point, I think Geth was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And that was that now, in that castle, was that where you guys killed Resmere?
Resmere.
The Black Dragon woman, the wearer of purple.
No.
She was before that.
We killed her later on, I'm pretty sure.
That was the end of Horde of the Dragon Queen. That was before you guys went off to the council.
We didn't kill her there. We killed her in like a cave.
It might have been before that, because you can find her multiple places before that.
Yeah.
Like
we ran into her a few different times, but we didn't kill her there. That's where we had the fight with Rathmodar. And then Talus.
Yeah. And you guys had her, like, she flew off with the white dragon when the rest of the castle was dead. And she's like, as long as you like you clearly have taken the castle, as long as you let me and my dragon go, we're good. And Geth didn't really like that, I think, but you guys got the castle and you got Blagothcus, and you just went back and fucking killed Talus later.
Yeah.
And her dragon. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, the last one was Cyrna, for Ryan. And he says the obvious answer here might seem to be, don't help bring a lich to life, which he almost accidentally did. but I think it's rather his choice to trust the other worm tamers with the issue of reviving his dead friends.
Oh.
His main goal throughout the campaign, or at least for the majority of it, was to get stronger so he could bring his dead friends to life with necromancy. It was the only means he knew of how to bring the dead to life, and he needed to develop a lot of trust that someone else could handle the task. Sure, revival magic had been used before, but never on people who were dead for so long. He was the only one to really do that by bringing the dead to life as his friends. Learning that friends can help you instead of just friends won't hurt you was a long journey.
Oh.
Yeah. The people who hurt, and that's the thing, is that he's really internalized that. Like, Cyrano knows full well the people who hurt you are not your friends.
Yeah.
The people who help you are.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very, like, it's straightforward with that. Anyone who helps him, he's just like, oh, you're great.
Well, especially because, what is it? It was very short-lived because it was at the end of the campaign.
Right.
But it was when he was bringing that, like, lich back, and then, Sheena was like, well, these are, like, the only ways I know to bring back my friends, and Asher was like, druids can do that.
Yeah.
And we have one. We have a really strong druid. And he's like, oh, and, like, let Fernier do it.
Yeah, because he had never trusted anyone else to do it. He didn't know if it was going to work. He wasn't sure.
Right. Asher kind of, like, convinced him that that's something druids can do.
Yeah.
And after that, like, he started being Asher's friend. Like,
yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, he helped me.
Like, they, I can't remember. I think they, like, he did the thing where he dropped Asher into the sea.
You in the water.
He's like, I'll help you too.
Yeah. I'm going to help you face your fears. Oh, no.
But, they became very brief friends at the end of that campaign as a result of that. And, I know it, like, made it made good connections between more than just Asher, but that was always something that I noticed, is that the moment we, like, helped him get his buddies back, who are actually back now too.
Yeah.
Just to let everyone know that was successful.
Yeah, that did work. He's married to one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They came back in different bodies.
They did, yeah, because the druids can reincarnate.
But they're back.
Yeah. The druids that we were talking about were capable of using reincarnation magic, so they came back, sort of.
And I think one of the funniest things, too, is the only reason that Asher knew that for sure was because Holly already planned on using our druid's reincarnation magic to bring her back to life if the city of Waterdeep found it rightful to kill her for her crimes.
Right.
I don't know if I told the group that. I was not going to die.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. You told me, but yeah, I don't know if either of them knew about that.
Yeah. Asher was in on it, obviously. The conversation didn't happen on screen because...
It was your character talking to your character.
So I wasn't going to do that. But Holly asked Fernie... She gave... When her hair got cut off in Phandalin, when we were collecting all the stakes, she confessed to her crimes and then gave Fernier locks of her hair to revive her. He was there. She was like, just either go into the woods or like go with my family home real quick and just bring me back if they kill me.
Yeah. Well, also the other thing too was that, like, there was the possibility that, like, depending on what severity of the crime would be, not that it necessarily would have ever gotten to this point, but depending on, like, who was responsible for the decision and how severe they considered the crime you had committed, there was a possibility that something would happen to your soul.
Right.
Like, that you would be, like, not allowed to come back, which is why you had that cool fucking ring.
That ring of soul storing or whatever it was.
The ring of mind shielding.
Yeah.
But it also, like, if you die while you're wearing it, it, like, stores
your soul in there.
Yeah, so that, like, it doesn't get, like, carried away by something else or settle in the afterlife. And, like, it's there.
Yeah.
So you had your soul, you had pieces of you could be resurrected by druidic magic. So
pretty much.
Yeah. So you just set it up. It was crazy.
But that was a tangent off of a very heartfelt moment by
this question, I think, raises a lot of tangents. This is the story meat of our campaign. But yeah, so that was Ryan. So on to yours.
So adorable. Anyways, I said, ooh, that one's tough. I suppose besides, like, the big stuff, like deciding to fight Tiamat,
Mm-hmm.
Raffi's biggest decision was probably leaving Kilkala altogether to make his orphanage in Highport City with Ezra.
Now, did he make an orphanage in Highport City or Waterdeep?
I think I wrote Highport, but I meant Waterdeep.
Yeah, okay.
Because it is in Waterdeep.
Yes.
Lots of times leaders in Kilkala don't move away from there, especially with how often Holly would disappear. He felt like maybe he should stay, but leaving was a big decision for him. And it went well with everybody involved, and he got very invested in his new roles.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it was neat for him to just be like, all right, we're gonna go like live our life now. Like we can pass things on to the next generation and not just.
Well, because what I didn't really elaborate on why that I didn't realize everyone was going to get so in depth with these.
Yeah.
A lot of why that's a really big decision for him was because it's connected to other decisions of his, like who his wife is, how she's like a princess from a nearby city who hates the people that we are.
Yeah.
So he was like, it was a big decision
the city hates the people. Yeah. She obviously loves them.
Yeah, obviously. But she ran away and was living with Raffi, and he was like, it was kind of a big gamble to move.
Yeah.
With all these moving parts, like Holly keeps disappearing, and
and also like once you're established in a big city like Waterdeep, like there's trade between Waterdeep and Highport City. Who's someone doesn't see her?
Who's like they might see her, and also like okay, we're gonna like we're gonna be like well known people because we have a huge orphanage. We're gonna take care of like a bunch of kids, and like people are gonna come into the building and stuff. Yeah. And also, I don't know if it's known knowledge, and it's probably not, so I don't know if I want to say it on the podcast, but Raffi got a whole new role that he got into because of that, tangentially. Moving out there.
Oh, he... do I know about that?
Yes. You were the one that told me that was probably a thing he'd be offered.
Oh, okay, now I know. I'm just making sure I knew what you were talking about. Yeah, that's right.
And so he got into a whole new fun little role that's very impactful.
Yeah, that's a bit of a potential future teaser. But...
I would say I'm sure that'll come out, but I'm not going to say it right now.
Yeah.
But everything went well, and he's doing good. Let's see. Asher's biggest decision was obviously giving up his life to protect Ivy. That's a big one.
Yeah, shit. That's big.
He is dead now. But also a big move for him was starting his own alchemy business and selling stock in Waterdeep.
Oh yeah, because he has a potion shop open up, like a pop-up shop in Waterdeep. Yeah, too. Yeah. He's like a somewhat world-renowned potion salesman.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat. The barbarian has gone far in life.
Yeah. See, that's the thing too. Is I picked like big life decisions that they made like almost after the fact.
Yeah, like, this is almost reasonable.
Holly's biggest decision I feel like that also made sense too. His biggest life decision was dying.
Yeah.
His biggest life decision was to no longer have life.
Yeah, immediately.
Holly's biggest decision that she had to make was probably to fess up about her crimes with the stakes. And making the choice to restore all that she destroyed and then some. It was either that or her decision to remarry after the campaign.
Yeah, that definitely had an impact on at least one of her children.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, because also her remarrying was like intensely complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I've gone over it with you where it's like Asher is like Holly's soulmate.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously. And so remarrying, she wasn't planning on it.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, my person's dead, so what's the point?
There's no real point to remarry. Yeah. But, like, the council kept pushing for it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, there's a bunch of other people you need to seem strong for. Like, you can't just be on your own.
Yeah.
Especially among, like, the clans. Like,
right.
Like Kilkala, like the Silver Fangs, the Bronze Claws, the Copper Scales, or whatever.
Right.
Like, you need to seem like you're in a strong partnership so that they're not looking at us like we're easy to attack.
Right, yeah. You don't want to present yourself as a viable threat.
Because, like, regardless of if they know who I am and stuff, they'll be like, oh, she's just like a sad widow. Let's go kill her.
Right.
So she ended up marrying one of her like best friends, who was also a widow. He got married previously, and she was married previously, and their people died, so they were friends and they got married. And I think we've talked over it before, where it's like if Asher came back,
yeah, she'd be like, "I'm sorry."
She'd be like, "Sorry, but
yeah, it's gotta be him."
Which is so heartbreaking because Enola's so sweet.
Yeah, no, he is. That's the thing, but it's like it's kind of like an understood thing.
I don't think he'd blame her.
Yeah.
Like, of course he'd be upset, but I don't think he'd blame her.
Yeah.
Like, if his wife came back, he'd probably be like, "Sorry."
Yeah, like it's nothing personal, but like.
And she'd be like, "I get it."
Yeah. Shit.
But that was a big decision she had to make, is just remarrying. Especially because it did piss the fuck out of Ivy.
Oh yeah, it drove her mental. She's like, "Oh, you can just kind of abandon Dad like that."
Yeah.
That was hard for her.
But also all this the whole stake thing was a big decision for her.
Opening up and being like, "Hey, so those demon
fucked
portals,
up.
that was me. I was careless. You caught me slipping.
Yeah.
May have killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not my intention."
Taking responsibility for that and trying to make up for that.
Yeah.
Was a big thing for her.
Absolutely. All right, so next is my characters and their big choices.
All right.
For Melisanna, she's the first one I picked. I would say choosing to devote herself to Timura, but honestly, that felt like it was necessary at the time that she chose it.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of a choice, really, just it had to happen. The biggest decision that she had to make was probably heading back out to adventure when the council came calling for her to fight against the Cult of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
This is because obviously when you guys went back and were dealing with the cult, she said Kellen, because now she's like, I'm at home. I'm married now. I have a child.
Right.
My father is getting older and would like to pass on like basically like rulership of our lands to me.
Right.
She had to potentially risk all of that in order to go out to adventure again, but ultimately helping her friends always wins out for her, and she made that choice, and like it had its ups and downs. She wouldn't take it back, but it was definitely something that she like weighed almost not doing, like almost not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't have ultimately done it, but like it was something she had to really think about.
Mm-hmm.
For Luciano,
yep,
I said, honestly, I think his biggest decision was when he had to face his father again in Luskin after many, many years at sea, and then some, having left his father previously in sadness and shame at the age of 14. He was so convinced that his father would hate him for leaving him when he did, and he wouldn't blame him for it. He figured if he never faced it again, then it didn't exist. But clearly, that didn't work out.
Right.
Yeah. Like, he was dreading the moment leading up to that, and the fact like his whole big blow up thing with Unity had just happened, and then they were assigned to work together.
Yep.
By the council. So
I remember.
He's like, not only do I have to go see my dad, but I have to bring Unity to go see my dad. Like, no, right now, everyone's gonna be in on all my shit. Like,
yeah. Well, I remember that too. Is Raffi, in an RP that I don't think anyone else saw.
Oh sure.
Because we do RP between at points.
Right.
He went, and because he could realize that Luciano was like being like Luciano's annoying, but usually not as annoying as he was being on this mission.
Yeah, he was being very whiny.
And so he's like, he came into his room and he was like, "What's up? Like, what's going on?" And
talk to me.
He was trying to convince Luciano that it wouldn't be that bad. He's like, "Dude, like, if that same thing happened to me, like, all cards on the table, and then my kid came back, I would just be so fucking happy. Like, forget the rest of it. Like,
yeah,
he's like, if your dad is any decent of a person whatsoever, which it sounds like everything that happened, because now that we all know you're shit.
Yeah, well, it's part of it too. I feel so exposed, all my drama.
He's like, if that was anything like what it sounds like it was like, it sounds like it was a huge misunderstanding, and your dad probably just feels like shit and misses you. And I bet you when you go home and you see him, he's just going to be happy to see you.
Yeah.
And Luciano's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a big choice for him to have to be like, now we're going to do this. Like, he was ready to just dip. But
I have notes in Holly's notebook still.
that moment.
Yeah. Of like things that Raffi said to Luciano.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you kept really good notes.
Yeah.
Shit. So yeah, so that one definitely. And last but not least for Kellen, I said his most important decision was having to surrender his family titles at the end of the war.
Yeah.
Or not having to, but choosing to.
Yeah.
It changed who he was as a person. He was no longer a noble-born heir to either elven or human lands. He retreated into the woods and lived a simple life. It was the first really impactful decision that he made entirely for himself. And ultimately, I feel like it made him a happier person.
Yeah.
Like, he was just kind of always stuck between two worlds and never felt like he belonged anywhere. And it turned him into this, like, weird, awkward kid who just, like, needed to make something of himself and prove himself to everyone so that he could, like, feel like he belonged in a place. And now he was just like, yeah, this is home. And he had never really felt that before. So it was like, yeah, I think that was a big decision for him. Like, he realized I have to give up everything that made me who I was so I can become who I'm going supposed to be. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I think that was the biggest choice for him. Anyway, so that we went on for that question for a while. That was a deep one.
These Worm Tamer ones are long.
Worm Tamer ones, because these are the characters we played the most. So these are the ones that we have like a deep connection to. But yeah, so anyway, I'll do the next question, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so this next one is a two-parter, and this is the first part of it.
Yep.
It was, first off, pick one of your 3 Worm Tamers and tell us who you'll be answering for. What member of the Worm Tamers in its entirety does the character you picked like the most? And what do they think is that person's biggest flaw?
Okay. Oh no.
I was going to ask, do you want me to read this one and you can do Ryan's since Kyle did a long one?
Literally wrote an entire book. No, it's fine. I'll read it.
Are you sure? Because I don't mind.
No, this is what he gets for writing something really long.
Okay, that's fair.
You get the dyslexia girl to read it.
Perfect.
Kyle said in a summary, I'm extra, so I'm picking one for everybody.
So he went all in.
Setanta is, again, easy. Raffi is his sworn brother, and he'd do anything for him. Geth as a close second.
Nice.
But Raffi's biggest flaw is sometimes that he takes too long to make a decision on something, in Setanta's eyes anyway. It's a difficult flaw to find, though, because Raffi is just so darn wise and always knows the right course of action. But if Raffi had been more assertive and decisive as a leader, maybe relations with Highport would have been better, huh? Which is true.
It's very true. If he had just been bold and like put his foot down and made a choice, but he's not. It's not the way he acts.
Yeah.
He's very calm and patient.
Well, not to mention, yeah, he's not wrong though. Like if Raffi had maybe done something about it, this whole thing could have been avoided.
Yep.
But it also could have gone intensely badly.
That's true. Exactly.
And he wasn't willing on trading his lady love for peace, I suppose.
And that's the thing, is that it's interesting that Setanta views that as a flaw too, because Setanta is a man who is made of bold choices.
Right. He's not wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting that seems like the perfect flaw for Setanta to pick up in him.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of views him as his hero figure.
Which is so funny.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's the best. It's very dynamic.
Next, we have Unity. Obviously, she likes Lem the most, considering she married him. Luciano and Holly being her second and third. Callista isn't included because things between them are complicated.
Oh.
She likes Lem because they're both trying to do better with their lives from this point forward. Their vows to each other to... Oh. Went blind. Their vows to each other to destroy the darkness in their past, so it won't control their future. And to have a name that isn't sullied by mud. They both honestly want to do right by Kylia and everyone else. But it appears that the past isn't as easy to kill as it seems. Lem may have burned one too many bridges in his path for redemption, and that's easily his biggest flaw.
Yeah, she basically, even though she loves and cherishes. One of the things I like, all this makes perfect sense for Unity. Like her being Lem's biggest flaw was his foresight, really, because he just he got where he needed to be. He's found his redemption. He's working towards it. He's trying to be a better person. He just happened to fuck up a few too many times along the way, and he can't really undo it.
Right.
Like she not that she necessarily believes that, because I think a part of her believes you can undo any wrong.
Right.
Over the long course of time, you can try to do better. But it's interesting that he's just yeah, Lem's biggest flaw is that he did not make it easy for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But one of the things I also thought from the answer that was really interesting is that Unity says that her second, the person she likes the second most is Luciano, and the person she likes the third most is Holly.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
Unity has not made it a secret that she likes Holly.
yeah, absolutely. What I think is interesting though is that Unity picked Luciano.
Still likes Luciano a lot.
Because we're gonna get to my answer later.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Lastly for Callista, I think she's actually quite charmed by Geth, Holly, Melisanna, Lundquist, basically the OG Tamers.
Yeah.
They're close behind in that order. Okay, so she likes them in that order.
She's quite charmed by Geth. Holly, Melisanna, Lundquist are also close behind.
Yeah,
in that order. So Holly's second, Melisanna third, Lundquist fourth.
In a lot of ways, she covets his ability to make things happen through his beliefs and his sheer strength. And there was that one time she had a dance-off with him as her partner.
Yeah.
And they ended up beating the Satanta-Avelina duo in the contest. But as far as Geth's flaws, it's clear to her that he has the most direct and blunt course of action when it comes to getting things done. Well, that's the Bash Bros in general. However, Raffi really provides the guidance that they need.
Yeah.
And that is his weakness as much as it is his strength. Geth really isn't much of an intellectual.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like Callista's like Geth. She admires Geth's ability to get what he needs to get done. He'll always find a way out of it. The problem is that sometimes problems require finesse, and Geth sees every problem as a nail.
Yes.
If every problem's a nail, you have to hit it with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much how Geth solves problems, is he hits it. And if you can't hit a problem, he has no fucking idea what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's Ryan's.
Okay. So he said, I'm going to answer for Cyrano. He picked Cyrano. I think he likes Callista the most.
Aww.
They're adventuring storytellers and basically a two-man troupe. This really resonates with his showman side and his strong affinity for storytelling. Callista likes to tell stories. Cyrano loves hearing them and jazzing them up. If he had to pick her biggest flaw, it would probably be that she is a bard in an adventuring mercenary group. He was one once, and it turned out really poorly for him and his friends. He worried that she might have to go through the same thing he did, not having enough strength to keep those important to her safe.
Aww.
He thinks that being a bard sucks.
Aww.
He was a bard for 2 levels, and then he learned how to be a wizard. He's like, wizards brought my friend back. Bards are kinda dumb.
But that's the thing too, is that Cyrano and Callista were the reason Holly didn't go to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
The two of them single-handedly, other than Asher requesting that I don't be murdered, they really backed it up, and they showed all of the shit that we did during our final fight.
Yeah, they did a performance of here is what we experienced, and understand that we are not the kind of people who they basically wowed the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was huge for helping the council be okay, we get it.
All right.
Yeah.
But so them doing stories together, did they work together on the plays, or did Cyrano by himself make the plays?
I think they probably worked together. whatever play that exists about the deeds of the Worm Tamers, they probably worked on one together.
Probably all dance numbers.
Oh, fuck yeah. Zombie dance numbers.
Anyway.
Yeah, Thriller just happens in the middle of it.
That's adorable, and I love it.
It's perfect.
I said, I'll pick Holly for this one.
Interesting.
The person she likes most is obviously Asher.
Mm-hmm.
But if she was supposed to pick from people not in her family, or not from my characters, then of course Melisanna's her favorite.
Oh.
She thinks that Asher's biggest weakness is his trusting nature. He believes in the best in people, and she finds that sweet, but also thinks that's something that could get him into a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Melisanna, she's too afraid of what people think. And they've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they've actually fought about, really. She's so invested in appearances that sometimes she does nothing to fix issues and makes them worse.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just kind of like, she's too hesitant to choose.
Yeah. She's like, oh, these people are like clear-cutting our forest, and we totally agreed to not do that because there are natives that live there.
Yeah.
And, like, it's actually, like, a law that they shouldn't be doing this or they might go to jail. But if I put them in jail, what message does that send?
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Right, yeah.
What? What?
That makes no sense to Holly. But for Melisanna, it's like, it's delicate because, like, are you going to inflame, like, rebellious activities for people who are, like, in the logging company? Like, logging is one of their main exports, and people who have a strong economic impact on the city, like, rely on those forests. And
well, of course, then Holly's like, well, I'll help you. Like, I'll show you how to log responsibly, and you might not have as much of an output, but, like, get a different island or something and, like, make it completely, like, a logging company, like, bullshit. Yeah. And, like, I'll help you deal with the people that are, like, fucking around with your, like, land and breaking laws. And she's like, yeah, but what message does that send?
Yeah,
that you just fix all my problems and that we have, like, a really close relationship? And I'm like, isn't that how it is?
Yeah. She also feels like she needs to do things. She needs to solve problems on her own because she needs to prove herself. But she also doesn't necessarily take the best advice because she's convinced she has to do it a specific way.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, how could I possibly do that and also do the right thing? Those two things aren't connected.
Yeah, and she's like, my God, you're not gonna do anything, and everything's gonna fucking die.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so for me, I said, I will be answering for Luciano. I think the first question doesn't quite get across the full nuance of how his interparty relationships function. But based on the question saying, like most, like which character does he like the most?
Right.
I think that if it was worded slightly differently, my answer would be different.
Okay.
But if it's based on like most, it's going to be Melisanna. That's Melisanna the most clearly. He's married to her. He is fully aware that she knows her biggest weakness as well, and he does his best to help her overcome it. But he sees her lack of confidence in herself and her decision making as her biggest flaw. She has so much potential, but her harshness towards her own abilities pushes her away from giving things her all. She kind of defeats herself on the way to the goal. Yeah. And she knows that's her biggest flaw. And he tries to help her with it as much as he can, but like,
you can only help someone so much.
Yeah, a lot of it has to be yourself, and she's fully aware of that. Yeah, so that was my answer on that. If it was worded a little bit differently, I might have picked Asher for that question.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think that despite the fact that he likes Melisanna the most because he's married to her, I think that him and Asher have the closest bond. Weirdly enough.
Fair.
But yeah, so that was those.
Okay, so question 5. What member of the Worm Tamers in its entirety does the character you picked like the least? And what do they think is this person's biggest asset?
So this is the reverse of the previous question.
Yes. Same character, but in reverse.
Characters in Kyle's case.
Yeah, but in reverse. So Kyle said, for Satanta, he likes Luciano the least.
Yeah, I saw that one.
But not for the reason you think. He's actually terrified of Luciano's form of magic and doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand why it works the way it does. Luciano's biggest asset to Satanta is how smarmy and suave he can be, and use that weird magic to amplify his stuff. They don't get to work together often. apart from that, Satanta's too fond of everyone to really dislike anyone. Lem makes him laugh because Geth hates him so much that Lem is like a joke to him whenever he comes up in conversation.
He's just like, oh yeah, that's that guy you fucking hate. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Oh, he's funny. I like that he makes you mad. It's funny. That's awesome. Like he found a way to like Lem because he's like, yeah, Lem's like we all agree that like, yeah, fuck that guy. Ha ha ha. Yeah, but it makes sense that Luciano's just he's like fucking like what
the fuck is he doing?
What's this weird fucking brain magic? Like that's weird stuff.
Callista doesn't like Sven.
Fair. They're very opposite.
Why would he have 12 children and name them after bread?
Oh, no.
Why did he stop after, like, 2 or 4? Just seems like poor impulse control to her. But she can't deny that the guy is built like a castle and probably could knock one down by himself.
He's a useful weapon. But he's also just...
I love that complaint. She's like, I hate him. Why'd he have 12 kids and name them all after bread?
Yeah. Like, he has no responsibility.
Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Unity mistrusts Cyrna the most out of all the worm tamers.
Interesting.
That counts for her liking him the least, I suppose. But she's rather ambivalent, all things considered. She knows the least about him, and she can't dig things up on him to learn about him. And he almost made a lich once, and he's just so strange. But that one time he suplexed a man through the air 1,000 feet and won a fight because of it was pretty great. Though she must not have actually been there for that. Though she might not have actually been there for that.
Yeah.
But the retelling of it would have been enough to make her realize that Cyrna is much craftier than anyone gives him credit for.
Yeah, when he cast Death Ward on himself and then Dimension Door hit the Sven 500 feet into the air. Thunk! Big drops. Yeah, that's kind of a lot.
That's fair.
Damn. Okay. So anyway, we're on to
Cyrna?
Ryan's question, yeah. Huh. Cyrno has to dislike someone? I mean, I guess he could pick. He'd probably be Luciano. Oh, no. I think of all the members of the Worm Tamers, Luciano spent the most time talking about him behind his back or thinking poorly of him. That is true, though.
It is true.
That is to say, Luciano had the most to say about how there was something wrong with Cyrno, while a lot of the other Worm Tamers generally didn't care or just accepted him after a period of time. Never really felt like Luciano ever made it to accepting Cyrno. Yeah, he probably hasn't. He probably thinks he's just crazy. As for his biggest asset, I guess the mind powers. They're pretty darn cool, but he doesn't use them to do fun things. Being a pirate's pretty neat. His biggest asset is that he's a pirate.
Yeah. He goes, I hate that guy. He doesn't like me, but he is a pirate. So I guess that's fine.
Yeah, that's a very Cyrno answer. I absolutely love that. That's perfect.
For Holly, me, obviously Holly hates Lem the most.
We all knew it.
Something positive about Lem. Oh, jeez. He's nice to Unity. It makes her happy. And that's probably the extent of what I like about him.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I figured you'd be struggling with that one. It's part of why I wanted this question to come through to see, like what is a thing Holly could possibly say about Lem?
He makes Unity happy.
Yep, that's it. That's all it takes. So mine is next. And we're going to go back to, remember back before when Kyle said that Unity liked Luciano the second most of everyone in the entire party? Luciano definitely likes Unity the least.
Oh, poor
Sorry,
you.
Kyle. I did actually say that in my answer. He used to be fine with her until the shit she pulled at the tournament. And now he basically has low-grade PTSD around her. But he also fully admits that she is one of the absolute best at handling children and young people who are scared. And that she, despite her methods, is always trying to find ways to help people who need it. He feels that kindness makes her mortal and approachable despite her cold exterior, which he feels is a tool that she wields with razor precision.
She does have a strange affinity with children.
She does.
Not surprised. I was like, I'm surprised that her and Lem didn't have more kids. And then I'm like, I'm not surprised that they didn't have more kids. But, like, with how much she likes kids, I'm surprised they didn't at least have 2 kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She tended to like orphans a lot more. Maybe she was afraid if I have too many kids,
they might be orphans.
Yeah.
Well, I am not here to judge how many kids people have. I'm just saying, I like with how much she loves children. I'm surprised they did not have more children. It's perfectly acceptable to only have one. Please don't have more.
Right. That's pretty fair. But yeah, so that was my answer. Yeah, he definitely likes Unity the least.
Okay. Question 6. Hour in. Go, Ken.
Oh, we did it. All right. What member out of your Worm Tamers most stereotypically represents their D&D class?
And this is the last Worm Tamer question.
This is the last Worm Tamer question. Yep.
Kyle said, probably Unity. Yeah, I'd say Satanta, but he ended up multi-classing into both Barbarian and Fighter, and he's more of a force of nature than a class. Unity definitely is a roguey type.
Yeah, she's a very rogue-like rogue. She took the swashbuckler and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you think of like mysterious trickstery, like she doesn't necessarily define swashbuckler that much. You think of like dashing pirate, daring do, adventure, Robin Hood type. But she defines rogue very well.
Yes.
Satanta, I also agree, defines barbarian very well, but with his particular fighting style and just the way that he like moved around the battlefield, he was less of a barbarian and more just a walking meat wall of hit points.
Right.
That smashed really hard. Like it was hard to define exactly what he was best at because he took like every ounce of that 3-level fighter dip and made it fucking shine.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree.
So for
Ryan, he said, "Excuse me. Geth only has smite slots, not spell slots.
Smite slots.
We don't cast here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're lucky if he uses them without a crit on the table. But for real, his single-minded pursuit of a higher purpose and justice really seems pretty cut and dry. Even with the immediate campaign against Tiamat done, he's just found another objection with wiping Fae off of the map. The purpose of justice and righteousness is his life goal, and it is what he will be remembered for. He is the paladin of paladins."
True.
That's the other thing, too. Dead ass.
Mm-hmm.
He literally only used those slots for smites.
Yeah.
The man didn't cast spells. I'm gonna let you know right now, 3 spells that are on his spell list that you're gonna be like, there's no fucking way he had that. Haste.
Never seen him use it.
He had haste. He could cast it. Bane.
Never heard of.
Yep. Ready for the last one? This is gonna blow your fucking mind. Hunter's Mark.
He had Hunter's Mark?
He had Hunter's Mark from the moment we met him.
Oh.
Yep. It was one of the first spells he learned. He had Hunter's Mark from the Paladin list.
Oh.
Never fucking cast it. I don't think he cast it once. Because if he cast it, that's like, yeah, he'd get an extra 1d6 on every attack. Or he could roll a crit and turn that spell slot into hit dice. Like, that's 3d8. Yeah.
I said probably Holly for me.
Sure.
Her and her beast companion living in the wild and helping everyone survive in the wilderness is probably the most ranger thing that I could see. But honestly, though, like thinking about it again, I might choose Raffi instead.
I knew you were going to pick either Holly or Raffi because the two of them are very quintessential ranger in different ways. It's just different flavors of ranger.
Well, the thing I didn't really think about too much until we started talking about the Worm Tamers out loud, like in depth, was that Holly kind of, while she isn't a druid at all, kind of gives me druid vibes, like druid ranger vibes, because she like uses her spells a lot, and she like uses the one where she can like fuse with nature a whole bunch.
Oh, like Guardian of Nature.
Yeah, she has like the force of nature behind her.
Yeah, she uses Guardian of Nature. She uses a lot of Hunter's Mark, a lot of Hail of Thorns.
But Raffi is like quintessential, like, I'm gonna lead you guys through the woods and be really wise to a point where it's ridiculous.
I'm specialized at fighting against vampires, so I'm gonna spend all day carving steaks and leaving garlic on the windowsill.
Yeah, like he's prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, if anything, I think I picked wrong. I think I should have picked Raffi.
Well, the only other thing, too, is, like, and this is a weird little thing, traditionally, like, they're both rangers, and they both do very traditionally ranger things. I think you're right enough on that aspect, but I still think you can kind of pick both of them. What pushes it over the edge for me is the classic ranger either, from what I see, wields a weapon in a free hand and shield, like a really fancy weapon, or they wield 2 weapons or a longbow.
Mm-hmm.
Holly's a crossbow wielder.
Right, she's a
ranger that uses like a traditionally more civilized artificial bow.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like metal mechanisms in it.
Yeah.
So
but she can pull back with the flick of her wrist. She's just
well, that's the thing. Because she's not like particularly physically strong
mm-hmm.
per se, so it's easier for her to use it than it is to use a regular longbow. But the downside to that, well, not downside, but like I think that kind of like pulls back a little bit on like the archetypal ranger.
Right.
I think Raffi is a good answer.
I think Holly was a
good one too, but. So for mine,
mm-hmm.
I said, it's so definitely Kellen.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sorcerer with too much energy, youthful and overeager, tries to hang with the big boys, and can also bend reality to his will despite him lacking world experience. That is the definition of a sorcerer.
Fair enough.
Yeah. He has an absurd amount of magical power and has no fucking idea how to use it because no one ever taught him.
He just has it.
Yep. Exactly. That's very much. He's the most sorcerer.
Question 7. We're going to the Dawn Valkyries.
We're heading over to the Dawn Valkyries campaign now. With the kids, we're jumping 16 years in. This is a great question.
If the Dawn Valkyries lived their lives on Ravnica, what guild would your member join, if any?
This is such an interesting question. I'm very excited to see what people say.
Noir, for Kyle.
Yep.
Noir would probably end up joining the Boros or the Selesnya. I'm leaning to the Boros. She'd want to be one of the good cops and make sure justice is served and equally sought out as best as possible. If that meant going into a tussle with Azorius, so be it.
Yeah, she's like, I don't care if I gotta beat up the law as long as everybody's like, as long as we're doing the right thing and keeping people safe. She's like one of the people who's like, I want to try to fight for justice, but like I want to make all the corrupt people go away too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Arya sympathizes with that on Noir, and I think that level. And I think that it makes sense for Noir to want to join a guild that has a more active role in helping to like shape society.
Right. I could see her doing that.
Absolutely. Okay, so next was Ryan's.
Uh-huh.
And Ryan says, once I scroll back up to it because I moved down, easy. Kylie would be in the Demir. So hard.
Oh my gosh.
There's no real trappings of protocol, and you're encouraged to use people to gain power, knowledge, and most importantly, leverage. Demir basically just...
That is just Kylie. Yeah,
Demir just allows her to fire on all cylinders. Like it's all of her base impulses of how to problem solve, and they pay you to do it. Like, yeah, it's perfect for her. I totally agree. What did you say for Ivy?
For me, I said, and I think in the end I didn't really choose.
Oh yeah.
Or I think I did, but it's just up in the air.
Yeah.
I feel like Ivy would probably end up in the Gruul clans.
Makes sense.
That, or she'd end up being unaligned. But then again, she may be an OK Izzet member.
Yeah, because of her like alchemical talent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I feel like, all in all, she might just be a really weird Gruul.
Yeah. Like, spends too much time with the herbalism kit.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, fucking around and seeing what weird stuff you can find in the Rubble Belt.
She'd be the person that wrote their anarchist cookbook.
Yeah. She'd be like, hey, I learned how to make a Molotov cocktail from watching a bunch of goblins blow each other up.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool shit. Yeah. So here's mine. I'm so excited for my answer. I really went into it on this one. Okay. I said, Arya would be a member of the Boros Legion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about this for a really long time, and I feel like although Azorius or Selesnya both also work for her, Boros suited her best. I feel like she had Selesnya family, but didn't like the stifling structure and left for the Legion. She fights in the military instead of the police force, and is called to defend the innocents of the city from major threats. However, I think she would be a Demir agent.
What?
Mm-hmm, undercover. I think she would use the Demir as a way to purge corruption from inside of her own police force, and she would use her impressive stealth abilities. First of all, she can polymorph into any animal shape, even if it's a really small creature. She can cast greater invisibility on herself. She has a variety of ways to heal herself if she gets into a bad situation. She can, if anyone tries to use like poison gases or something, like she's got wind magic. She can scry on locations from a distance. She can put herself inside of an indestructible dome.
Mm-hmm.
She has a number of ways to get out of bad situations and get into trouble undetected. Plus, she has a fucking plus 11 to stealth.
Right.
For no reason. She can guide herself. She can psychically manipulate people. She can like strike elements of fear into people. She's got all sorts of magical tools that she needs to infiltrate an area and get the things she needs and get out. So I think that she would be a secret member of the Demir working alongside the Boros Legion, and she would find corrupt legionnaires and other corrupt political officials, and she would eliminate them as a nighttime vigilante.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How would that even work between her and Ivy?
I don't know. That would be very interesting on Ravnica with that context.
Yeah.
I mean, both of you would really love killing crooked cops.
Yeah.
Like, you could both get behind that.
Yeah, but like being seen together, like a Boros and a Gruul in a relationship?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to keep it hidden. They have characters in, like, Ravnica's official canon that are, like, an Azorius political official and the leader of the Izzet, like, hooking up. Like, in secret, because they can't know that those two, like, political structures are tied together. But, like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We're still good.
We're still good. yeah, that's what I think for Arya. I thought about that one for a really long time. I'm like, no, she'd totally be, but I think she'd be just the blue part of Daemon. She'd be more interested. She wouldn't be interested in like the knowledge for like the sake of improving her own power. She just wants to know what she needs to do to get justice for those who don't get justice.
I can respect that.
Yeah, she'd basically just be Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8.
Okay.
This is gonna get tough.
Oh yeah, Dawn Valkyries get a little bit fucking depressing.
Yeah.
With some of those questions.
Get ready.
All right.
You're the one that's reading
yeah,
it.
I'm reading it. Shit, you're right. This next question is, what does your Dawn Valkyrie character wish that they had asked their parents before they disappeared?
Because anyone that doesn't know yet, their parents disappeared just into a different plane, we're assuming.
They went chasing after a aforementioned demon castle that had been sucked through a portable hole time loop to go clear out the monsters that were floating through the astral plane and causing trouble, and they never came back for some reason, and now no one can find them, even by magic.
Kyle said for Noir, when does it stop? When do we get to be a real family? Why do both Kylie and I have to pretend that our lives are normal?
Oh,
that's really fucking sad.
That fucking hurts. That's so sad. When does it stop? Poor Noir.
She's been going through it.
Yeah, she really has been going through it. It's been hard for her. This campaign has been brutal on her.
Poor thing.
So for Ryan, Ryan said that Kylia would want to know why they wouldn't let her help with, well, all the issues they were having running the Iron Veil. She desperately wanted their attention and love. She doesn't care if it might come under harm. Whatever danger or trouble they're in, she wants to solve it together as a family. That'd definitely be her primary motivation. But I suppose at this point she also really wants to know what the fuck is going on with Belial and Fierna. At least more than she already knows.
That's fair. That's also so sad.
Yeah, she's just like, why didn't you trust me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why couldn't you rely on me?
Why couldn't we just work together to fix things?
Yeah, why did you always have to keep me out of all your problems? Like, I wanted to help you. And I know I'm strong enough now.
Right.
But, yeah, it makes her feel like why didn't you trust me?
I wrote for Ivy that's hard for Ivy. She doesn't really have long, drawn-out conversations with Holly anymore. But she probably would have pried more, knowing what she knows now. She would have asked where everyone was going, what the Worm Tamers went to go do. Maybe ask for advice for things when... maybe some advice for when things went south so that they could help them.
Shit. Yeah, that's a harsh one. Just like I wanted to, like, in retrospect, like maybe if I knew more information, I'd be able to help you out of the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
But like she just didn't. She was like, I don't really care. They're going to go do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And then now they're gone, and she's like, fuck, I really wish I had cared.
I really wish I had asked.
Yeah.
Like, where were you going? What are you doing? When will you be back? What do I do if you don't come back?
Right. Yeah, it's a hard one.
But she's just thought she'd come back.
Yeah.
She always did.
Exactly. Yeah, because they've never not done it before. Arya wishes she could have asked her parents if she could pass the future title of Sea Star on to someone else.
Oh.
She wasn't thinking this before they actually went. But now, in retrospect, she wants them to know the person that she became in the last 3 months is different. She wants to show them in part because she feels like they'll be truly proud of who she's become.
Well, that's sweet.
Yeah. Like
I'm sure they
she
will
thinks she's grown so much, and she's like, well, this is something I've always thought about. And I'm like, what if I wanted to just go off and like explore the world and like do things very differently from you? And like a part of her is like deep down, like I know they'd be proud of me, and they'd be like, yeah, we want you to go do that for yourself. But she didn't know to ask it until it was too late to do it. Like she was like, no, I'm just gonna coast by, and we'll cross that bridge when it's later. I can't deal with it right now. And now she's just like, fuck, I wish I had, because it could be my last chance.
Well, not to mention in the beginning, she's like, oh, I'll like take it up and maybe I'll get used to it. And like now that she's like kind of done it for a little, she's like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, she did it for like a couple days, and she's like, I can't live like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Next one.
Question number 9.
Another big one for Dawn Valkyries.
What would your Dawn Valkyrie do if they knew they only had 24 hours left to live?
It's so fucking sad. This is the misery hour starring our D&D characters.
Kyle said, if Noir learned she was going to die in a day, at this exact point in the campaign, she'd probably get really angry. She'd probably throw herself into whatever goal she had that she could do the most good with, regardless of how safe it is. Everyone she cares about is with her or missing. She might as well make an effort to save her parents or make the world around her a better place as best as she can. Though she'd probably pray that someone casts a resurrection spell on her in the end anyway.
Damn. So she's like, she'd like be desperate. She's like, my story, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Yeah, that kind of, that's so sad. Noir's like, I'm not ready. Ooh, that's awful. Well,
she wants more time.
I'm definitely going to be keeping all of these reactions in mind for when I fucking kill you people.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when I'm like, you're probably going to die in this encounter. Because, like, sometimes you can tell. Like, sometimes it's close and then it's like, whoop, they got, like, the fucking Gorgon fight.
Yeah.
That was close for Kylie. I was like, she might actually die. And, like, so I was like,
well, that's why Ivy picked her up and ran. She's like, no.
Yeah, because I was like, there was a part of me during that fight where, like, as soon as she went for that last hit, I'm like, she's probably going to kill her.
Yeah.
But it was a miss, which is crazy. But anyway, yeah. That makes
Speaking of Kylie.
Yeah, speaking of Kylie, Ryan said, oh boy, Kylie would sort out a couple of things. 1, entrust the map of the Brass City to the Dawn Valkyries and ask them to save her parents.
Oh.
2, apologize to Noir for being a bad cousin.
Oh.
And 3, tell Darendil she loves him and to get his body back and learn the truth of Nell Rindenbane for the both of them.
Oh my god!
That is fucking adorable.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so cute and sad.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. That's a big one. That's a big...
Why would Kylie make me that sad?
For those of you who don't know, that's kind of a big lore drop that just happened.
Oh,
that's that's some background information that we have no confirmation of in-game.
Oh, we knew.
Not necessarily.
Darendil was like saying that he loved her and then she was all blushy and stuff. Like,
yeah, she had never said it, and she still hasn't said it.
She still hasn't said it, but we know.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's like how we never...
like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, sure, and people are still speculating about Ivy and Arya.
Well, no, because they're actually dating. Like it's no longer a ship once it happens. Then it's
you can ship
sailing.
people that are in a relationship.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it's like it's sailing now. Like this is the one that's sailing.
Yeah, they're close.
Still time.
I said, God, that's hard to think about. Not being around to protect everybody. She'd probably try to be a bit nicer. She'd spend time with her friends and her family. She'd make sure she spent the whole day with Arya and take her out on one last date. She'd make sure that everything of hers was taken care of, like the basilisk and Jara. She'd leave something of hers behind for everybody, and in the end, she'd probably fight her hardest to stay regardless, however she could.
Damn. Yeah, that's really sad. Wow. These make me miserable. Like she's just like, I just like whatever's gonna take me, I'm gonna go out fighting.
Yeah, she would absolutely try to just destroy whatever it was.
Yeah. So mine, for Arya, I said she would spend her early morning with Senna and her mom and dad if possible, out on a boat, watching the seabirds and watching the sunrise. Then she'd go hang out with Papyrus until the afternoon, and they'd get coffee or a beer together and just gossip like old times. Then she'd plan a candlelit dinner for Ivy and spend every single remaining second of her life in her arms.
Oh my god, these are gonna make me fucking cry.
Yeah. That one was like, I was doing that one and I was like, oh, this is so fucking, oh god. Yeah.
I'm tearing up.
Yeah, I know, I can see it. Yeah. Character death is such a complicated thing, and it's like, it hasn't happened to any of us yet.
Well,
thank God. Well, like a little bit.
I've
that's
died.
true. That's true. Ivy did die. That is true. A well-timed revivify prevented that, but it was close.
You bastards making me cry on my own podcast.
Well, you know.
Why I asked the question.
Technically, you're the one who put that question.
I asked the question. You made up the question.
Did I make up that question?
You made that question up.
I'm a piece of shit. Why did I do that?
I put it in.
Ugh, why the fuck did I do that?
Okay.
Well, anyway.
Next one. You read it, I can't.
Okay, I will read it for you. Damn, that was a good topic. I want to do more like that. Anyway, what story about the Worm Tamers did your Dawn Valkyrie hear as a child that's still their favorite?
Shit, I have to read.
I think Kyle's is pretty short.
Noir said, the ballad of the Worm Tamers is something Noir still loves, reciting or humming to this day. It seems like a cop-out answer, but Callista's version is her favorite.
Which is basically Callista's version of like the
whole story,
the epic poem of their whole adventure. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all of our stories.
Yeah, it's everyone's story exactly. For Ryan, he said, honestly, Kylie probably finds the most enjoyment out of the tournament arc.
Oh, that's fun.
Especially Unity's fight with Luciano. Sure, it was cruel and unusual, but it was packed full of strong emotions and personal investment. No need for bravado and big himbos swinging sticks. Just someone who's truly showing truly showing who they are, with all social pretenses sewn aside. Her mother knew how to pull that out of someone. It's very fun to hear, even though it's not a tale told often. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Like the drama, the tension, the
pure, my mom being a bad bitch.
The pure emotional struggle, and like it makes sense for Kylie to be like, as someone who likes to find people's secrets and use them as a weapon. She's like, my mother's biggest talent was that she had the ability to draw out people's raw emotions and force them to feel things. And she sees that as like a strength. Whereas Luciano's like, fuck her.
Fuck that, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Ivy said, or I said for Ivy.
Yeah.
Probably Asher and the cannonball on the shore of Ventress, or the time that Uncle Tonti and Holly killed the blue dragon in Ironvale.
Yeah, that's perfect. The two just like big, strong hero stories, especially like a story about her dad. Like literally batting away a fired cannonball from an enemy ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course she loves that story.
Titanic power. So for mine, I said, I think Arya's favorite story is still the one about the actual final battle with Tiamat. She loves hearing about all the different versions of the story from different worm tamers, how each member has a different perspective. She laughs when Luciano over-dramatizes Tiamat's death throes in the later part of the battle. She stares in awe as Holly mimics the shot she took to fire the banishing bolt through Tiamat's heart. And she takes notice when everyone but Holly describes Lem using his hell portal to temporarily trap her. For some reason, every time Holly tells the story,
she skips that part.
Clutch hurling of Tiamat through Avernus while everyone else composed themselves and healed. that never gets mentioned by Holly. It's like, yeah, we all got into position, and then we wailed on her, and she died, and that was it.
The end.
Yeah. But hurl through hell, like Lem using that and having it succeed, like you guys burned away all her legendary resistances.
Mhm.
Oh wait, no, it's that hurl through hell doesn't have a save.
Yeah.
It just you target someone and they do it. So she didn't get to use a legendary save. It was just you're gone.
Well, also my favorite part of that is Luciano's over dramatizing the end because he wasn't there.
And that's exactly why that's why I said that she laughs about it too, because she knows he wasn't there, because she's heard it from Holly and Asher and Melisanna.
Yeah.
That he had to go because he got too beat up.
Your daddy had a crispy face.
Yeah, he had a real crispy face. We had to send him back to the medic tent, so we poofed him out of the battlefield. And that's the thing, is that like she knows that happened, but he always tells the best version of the finale because he hams it the fuck up. Yeah. He wants to make it sound like he was totally there.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Is this my question to read?
I think.
Yeah, I think the other one I was crying, so you had to read it.
Yes, that's correct. So this is yours.
Describe each member of the Dawn Valkyries with one word, including your own character, from your character's perspective.
Okay, so this is Noir's perspective of each person in the party. Mm-hmm. One word to explain what they mean.
Kyle said for Ivy, or from Noir's perspective for Ivy, protection and sacrifice. For Ario is supportive and joy. Kylia is forbidden in knowledge, and Noir is light.
Interesting. So I like protection and sacrifice. Like she sees Ivy as like willing to throw herself in harm's way to protect the people she cares about. Mm-hmm. She sees Arya as just being like, she's just like cheerful and happy, which is interesting because I feel like Noir just picks up on more of that. There's a sad edge to Arya that Noir like tends to look the other way from. Mm-hmm. I think it's because she sees Arya as like kind of a glue point that holds the party together.
Fair enough.
And seeing Kylie as like forbidden knowledge, like she's like, she's got this strong like a devilish vibe, like she's a tricky one. That one, that's neat. Next is Kylia. Okay. And Ryan's response for Kylia. For Kylia, he says sad describes her the most. She's just a sad girl. Ivy is suicidal. Uh-huh. And Kylia does see Ivy as being reckless to the point of
you like it, Kylia.
She benefits from it a sure fuckload. Mm-hmm. Arya is boring.
Boring?
That makes sense. Is exactly how Kylia feels of her. Yeah, absolutely. Noir is sunlight. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I do like it. I do feel like it's interesting, and maybe this is me reading too much into it, but I do think it's interesting that he had Kylia pick sunlight for her instead of light. Mm-hmm. Because in this campaign, there's a noted difference between light and sunlight. Mm-hmm. You guys have had access to magic spells that are sunlight as opposed to just creating light, mm-hmm. and that sunlight has an actual effect on like enemies and creatures and things that were at your adversaries. The fact that Kylia refers to Noir with sunlight instead of light, I feel like means he sees Noir, Kylia sees Noir as both radiant in a metaphorical sense and also weaponizable. Because sunlight is a weapon that we've been wielding. She literally has a sword made of sunlight. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense. It's interesting. Anyway, what do you got?
Ivy, put Arya as warm and supportive, which is the second time she's gotten supportive.
That is the second time. It makes sense.
She put Ivy down as rough but caring.
That's for herself. So
yeah, that's for herself.
Ivy thinks she's rough and caring.
Okay. Noir is sweet and persistent. Mm-hmm. And Kylie is sassy and sneaky.
Oh, I like sassy and sneaky. That's pretty good. Yeah, those all make perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Ivy tends to wear her emotions on her sleeve. Like, you pretty much know how she feels about you.
Yeah.
I also included Blair for my question.
You did?
I think I was the only one that did, yeah. But that's fine. I'll read Blair's, too.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a former member of the campaign, descendant of the Lundquist clan, but no longer plays with us on a regular basis, so Blair wasn't added, I think, for most of the questions, but I just did because I counted her as a member of the Dawn Valkyries. She helped invent the name. So. For Ivy, I said Arya thinks she's caring. If I just had to pick one word, it would just be like even though you're strong and you're gruff and you're aggressive, it's all because you care about people. And that's what she sees you as most. For Arya, she put determined. She sees herself as wanting something.
Okay.
Noir is pure-hearted.
You're not wrong.
For good and for bad. Arya finds that sometimes Noir's pure-heartedness can get in the way of what needs to be done.
Right.
But she also admires that she's able to stick to it despite how crazy everything is.
Fair.
For Kylia, she says cunning. Regardless of how she feels about Kylia as a person, doesn't fully trust her even to this day. But she knows that if she needs somebody to solve a problem, she's got Kylia.
Right.
Yeah. Kylia will solve it.
No, go ahead. Go.
And for Blair, I just put that she's fearless in every sense of the word. She has so little fear that not only does she run headlong into danger, but she also doesn't have any fear of repercussions for her actions, behaviors, or words. She just is a being of pure impulse. She says whatever's on her mind. She does whatever she feels like, and anybody else who has a problem with it doesn't matter to her at all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Completely.
Gotta love it. Oh, the next question is our first Ravnica question.
Oh, yeah, we're moving into the final 5. We're moving into the Ravnica questions.
The final 5.
All right.
I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, a lot of these Ravnica ones were really cool. I'm really excited about it.
I think this is your question to read.
Oh, sure. So starting us off, what is your Ravnica character's guiltiest pleasure?
All right. So for Hex, Kyle wrote, making plushies into weapons.
Which she does well.
She's got
a number of cute plushies that are on spider legs and have flamethrower mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty dope.
Guiltiest pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, so your turn.
Right. So Kaz. For Ryan, he had Kaz say, I think it would be that he actually enjoys hanging out with the rest of the party. Doing all this mystery solving. It's exciting and new, despite any of the original misgivings he's had about each of the guild members. He could be spending his days just doing normal Boros stuff all day, and that'd be fine. But he suspects it'd be way less interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. His guiltiest pleasure is that he actually likes a bunch of these random fuckos more than he likes his own coworkers.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
For Alistair, I wrote, it's probably trying all the weird food and drinks in the city.
Yeah.
And maybe even some of the events, like concerts. He doesn't like all of it, and he doesn't even like a lot of it, but it's kind of fun for him to see things from everyone else's perspective, like seeing things that everyone knows and thinks are normal.
Yeah.
He tries and fails to hide his curiosity about seeing if he likes these things also.
Yeah. That's a really good point, that he's like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I probably won't, but I just really am curious why everybody else is so up in arms about this shit.
Like, the fucking peanut butter and jelly is a perfect example. Everyone's like, peanut butter jelly, and everyone's like, yeah, peanut butter jelly. He's like, what is that?
Yeah, right.
And they're like, explaining it to him, and he's like, that sounds icky, but make me one.
Yeah, it's like, I'll take that. Let's do that.
And of course, like, when Angela's like, oh, I'm doing a concert, you should come. He's like, I don't really know what that is, but it sounds like I'll go.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, he's just intensely curious about what you guys think is normal and, like, trying it at least once. And then if he likes it, he's like, I didn't like it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's a good point.
That was stupid.
Yeah, whatever, no big deal. Not like I care
about you or anything in the manga.
So for my answer, I put Angela's obsessed with spa days.
Oh.
He always wants to go relax at a spa, but they're expensive as fuck.
Oh.
He's always broke.
I didn't even know that they had spas.
They do. They have plenty of spas.
I'm sure, and Alistair doesn't know what spas are.
Oh, fuck, they wouldn't let you in.
Yeah, and then he's going to figure out what a spa is, and he'd be like, you mean a hot spring?
Yeah.
Like,
we have those.
Yeah, you don't have to pay any money to be in that.
What the fuck are you talking about? Where's the free one?
In the Rebel Belt.
Show me. Oh. Okay, so I think this next one's your question.
Oh, okay. Who in the Ravnica group does your character trust most? And who do they trust the least?
I'm very interested in this question.
The
inter-party dynamics of this one it's pretty early on, and there's a lot of reason for this party to distrust each other. So I'm very curious to see how this goes.
Okay. Hex. Sorry, I have to burp. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Got it.
Nice.
Hex trusts everyone equally except for Angelo. Because they still aren't entirely certain of his motivations. They feel there's something fake about him that they can't quite put their finger on. They do give him some trust, after all, secrets have been shared, but they feel like that if anyone was to betray the party at an inopportune moment, it would be Angelo.
Interesting. I think that's a fair assessment. Angelo is the one that has the most unknown about him.
Mm-hmm.
Completely reasonable for Hex to be like, yeah, this person, if anything's going to go down, it's going to be because of him, because these other two I can read.
Right.
Yep, makes sense.
Can't read him.
So I have Ryan's.
For Kaz.
Kaz trusts Alistair the most.
Which is super weird.
Yeah. He trusts the Boros Legionnaire trusts the Gruul clan member the most.
This is the one that I read before.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I forgot that I was going to say that I did read this one before.
Yeah.
Because I just was scrolling and I went to the Ravnica one, and that was the one that I happened to read. And it's not as exciting. I should have waited, because when I read that, I screamed.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, how does that make any sense? No, I'm sure he's going to explain it well. I'm very curious to see what it is. He says, for what it's worth, Alistair has kept up appearances while being the subject of a manhunt. And they only did Rock Chav, which is, for those of you who don't know about Ravnica, it is a Gruul holiday. Tends to happen near other important holidays, or just if you're feeling like it. And they rush in large groups into the city and just start breaking stuff until everyone sends them to jail or they get away.
Such a fun holiday.
Yeah, you just go in and you just fuck shit up until you're done.
Yeah.
So they only rock Chav the one time when it was agreed upon. At least Alistair's a man of their word. Well, and Alistair knows where Kaz's brother is, so he really has to trust him to bring him back in one piece. Yeah. But that is the thing, and it makes perfect sense for him to say, oh, I trust Alistair the most, because of everyone in this group, Alistair has been the most consistent.
Mm-hmm.
They make a weirdly good fucking team.
They do.
Yeah. They have abilities that complement each other in really weird ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's super cool.
Well, especially because even when you wouldn't expect it, it's like him and I work together. It's almost, I think, basically just an impulse. We don't like each other because of our factions, or we didn't, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then when we started working together over time, it's like when a situation would happen, both of us would just react and work together really well. And so over time, we've realized we can kind of trust each other to react to a situation in a positive manner.
Yeah, absolutely. You built that. Also, on top of that, he says Kaz distrusts Angelo the most.
Mm-hmm.
Hex is at least forward with their multiple identities and numerous secrets. Angelo always seems to be hiding something. Mm-hmm. Kaz half expects something in Angelo's past to come to the surface and make everything difficult.
Oh.
Interesting.
Lots of distrust for Angelo.
Yeah, it's the last two. To be fair, he's kind of a shifty guy.
I said for Alistair. This one's tough. Alistair probably trusts Hex the most. They spent the most time together, and she hasn't tried to hurt him. But she does use Daemon to try and get under his skin, so that's complicated. He doesn't exactly distrust or trust any of the group fully. He has to rely on all of them, and they've been watching out for him, which is making him more comfortable by the day. But he's ready for any of them to make him regret that at any moment. It's just in his nature.
Oh yeah, he's anxiety boy.
Mm-hmm. Which I felt kind of was like a cop-out, where I'm like, oh, I trust everyone and no one at the same time. But it's like, he it's kind of complicated with Alistair. He trusts. I think he trusts Hex the most because he's had at least 2 sleepovers at her house.
Right.
The 2 of them made sure they got out of the whole hotel situation safely.
Yeah.
Like when Alistair didn't know where to go,
mm-hmm.
he was just running, and then Hex like swooped in and basically saved him.
Right.
Like covered him up. We got the fuck out of there. He pulled me onto an airplane.
Yeah.
We got back to. I'm saying his because he was Daemon at the time.
Yeah.
To the apartment, and then
that's the thing. Is that like I'm pretty sure like no matter what form, I'm pretty sure they them pronouns work the best.
I feel
Hex,
like
but when it's Hex, she uses she,
and when she's Damien, she uses he.
Yeah,
and so just a blanket term for them is they.
Yeah,
but I was
and I noticed in his answer, Kyle used they to describe Hex to just categorize all of the different personalities' actions.
Yeah, but Damien got me into the apartment and we just stayed there. And so like when it comes down to it, even though Hex uses Damien to try and like manipulate Alistair a little bit, and he notices that for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
He's like, he can trust her. She's not gonna fuck me over, probably. But then when it comes to the others, he trusts them, but also is much like it's pretty much equal. He doesn't trust anyone least. He distrusts everyone equally, but Hex has the most of his trust.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Especially considering the experiences they've been through. Like, it's all logical. So, for Angelo next. I said Angelo definitely trusts Alistair the most. He's reckless, but not careless. And he's a very good ally with a good heart. He doesn't particularly trust either of the others, though, for different reasons. X, because she talks an awful lot for an undercover person, and he's afraid she's going to accidentally reveal the party's activities to the wrong person. Kaz is the one he definitely trusts the least, though. Pretty much just because ACAB, but he has a general bad opinion of authority and military in general.
That's fair.
Yeah. He just doesn't understand. Like, he got to know Kaz a little bit more, like, got to understand where he was coming from a little bit more, but he just doesn't trust a police officer to, like, not turn him over for his shit. Like, it's too much.
Yeah. That's the thing, too, is I was tempted to do that for Alistair as well, but he's like, at this point, I feel like Kaz isn't going to turn Alistair over to the authorities. But then again, there are things I could do where he might.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's complicated.
Once I get him his brother, who knows?
True. Yeah, then you're not useful to him anymore. Who knows? Is the next one mine to read?
Yes.
Okay. So this next one, before we read this one, I do want to clarify. Some people, anyone who gave answers to this question, because this is one that I totally get it if you wanted to skip it and not reveal the information, and you wanted it to come out in game. For anyone who did that makes total sense. If you are someone who is listening and you don't want to be spoiled on potential backstory elements for our characters, mainly if you're a member of this campaign.
Yeah.
Me and Hannah are both okay with reading whatever happened here.
I'm very good at taking this information and putting it in the back of my head. Yeah. Like I'm really good at not metagaming. I'm good at knowing info and not using it to my advantage in the game when I don't know it as my character.
And as the DM, there's a lot of elements of this that I'm probably already at least aware of. So I don't think it's not going to bother me. But if either of you don't want to listen to it, Ryan or Kyle, please feel free.
Skip ahead like 5 minutes and see if we're still talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Probably not even that much, but yeah. So anyway, this question was, what was your Ravnica character's worst childhood memory? And what was their best childhood memory?
And for Hex, Kyle wrote, wouldn't you like to know? If you want to know this, you have to unlock this in game. Nice try.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fair, and that's the thing.
Which I didn't do it, but I meant to send a thing to everybody.
Oh yeah, you
on the Discord and be like, you don't have to answer number 14 if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But then I never did, And
Right.
Ryan and Kyle immediately answered the questionnaire.
Yeah.
And so then I was like...
But Kyle was already on the page. He's like, no, I want that to come out in game. Completely reasonable.
Absolutely
totally okay opinion. Yep. Okay. So I will read Ryan's then, because Ryan did write one for Kaz. Ryan says, Kaz's worst childhood memory. Kaz has an enormous distaste for a moment when his parents directly compared his brother Shashka to him. It was a particularly manipulative moment, and Shashka didn't deserve it. Quotes like, why aren't you as diligent as Kaz in his training? Don't you want to make us proud like him? Shashka ended up getting into a huge fight with them, and Kaz didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
He regrets that, especially now that his brother's run off.
Right.
As for his best childhood memory, Kaz's parents were out on duty for the Boros Legion, and both Shashka and Kaz were left alone with their 2 dogs and each other. For a week solid, they just got to hang out with the dogs without any pressure from their parents. It was a rare moment when they could just be brothers.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Just had the whole house to themselves. That's really cool.
It's not always the best moments, though.
Yeah, it really is. Just unmitigated hangout time. Like, love that.
That's like a thing too. Like where if you have siblings, like I don't know if Kaz and Shashka got along a lot. I'm assuming they did.
I think they did well enough. I think there was tension, but the sense that I seem to get from this, and this is not like basing my information off of anything else that I know about Kaz, just from reading his answer. These answers come across as like the 2 of them seemed to get along with each other and like each other, but a lot of the tension in the family came from Kaz's parents constantly putting Kaz on a pedestal and not like putting Shashka there.
I was going to say that is that a lot of times that's actually really commonly found where parents like put up like rivalries like by favoring children.
Yep.
And so then you'll like have this thing with your sibling where you guys like resent each other.
Right.
And then the moment they're not around, all of that isn't existent anymore. And so many like pairs of siblings get really confused by that.
Yeah.
They're like, don't you just love it when like we had the whole house to ourselves and like we had a really fun time? Like, why don't we do that anymore? Like, why don't we do that? It's like, because your parents suck.
Yeah. It's like, oh wait, what do you mean? Like, and usually like the one that gets favored, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I've like not to bring up TikTok, but I've seen a bunch of people like on TikTok say that they have those things going on with like when they're having their realization where they're like, does mom like basically favor me over you like a fuckload? And then they'd be like, yeah, and they'd be like, well, they do that, like they do that to me about you.
Yeah.
Where they're like pitting them against each other.
Right.
And then they'll realize and they're like, fuck that.
Yeah, like what the actual fuck is going on? Yeah, that's crazy. And it feels like that's the kind of sense I get from Kaz, like backstory stuff.
I said for Alistair that his worst memory was probably the day that he got the scar on his nose.
Yep.
No elaboration
there.
That
there, yep.
The best probably would be the day that he and Vladimira came home from their coming of age ceremony with the Wyvern Wing. Everyone was really excited and thought so much of them then, and they were still a really good team.
Yeah, they took down a Wyvern together? That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, she was a certified badass, and he was a druid that could shapeshift. Like, that's not a common thing. The 2 of them were kind of destined to run the wilds a little bit.
Yep. I feel like he misses that. He's like, that's one of his favorite memories because they were like, that was like one of the last times they were like on the same page, and everyone's like really excited and like really happy, and like after that it's like she very shortly probably like went off to her clan and like she would just visit, and they like
as soon as she finished her coming of age she'd get to pick her clan, and she probably would have been like, I'm going off to the Burning Tree because I want to go hang out with the leadership of the clan and make a real name for myself, and hanging out with a bunch of you religious nuts isn't really helping me. I want to go hit shit with an axe.
Right. And so then he started training, he started falling behind her, and they were like still a team, but it was different, and like people like, not that they didn't seem excited, because he doesn't really give 2 shits if they're excited about him.
Right.
But like it seemed like his progress stopped, and then the moment his progress started to pick back up, people started to dislike him.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay.
Yeah, this is fucking weird. So Angelo's, and this one especially more so than the others.
This is very spoilery.
Is very spoilery because Angelo's backstory has kind of been the subject of a little bit of like conversation amongst like outside of game and a little bit in game as well. There's like little tidbits that are coming up. So I will say I did try to make these as minimal information giving as possible, but there are some elements of Angelo that are kind of revealed here.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to know about it, don't listen. That goes for you, Kyle and Ryan.
Yeah.
That being said, here we go. I said for Angelo, his worst childhood memory was the day he lost his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And his best childhood memory was when he saw that boy with the cool eyes near that big, beautiful wolf that one time.
Well, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, who does he know who has cool eyes?
Well, it's me.
Yeah. And who has a big wolf?
Oh, my dad.
He remembers you from that day.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and then he saw you again, and he's like, "Oh, it's the kid."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh my god, it's the kid I saw that one day." And he was like playing it off like it was cool, but he's like, "I remember him." Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I love that we that's the thing that me and Ken talk about a lot too, because these were like one of my like foundations for or like some of my foundational memories for Alistair, like when he had his siblings when they were born and like some childhood memories and the 2 different trips that he took into the city before that he saw Angela both times.
Yeah, he saw him the 2 times that he actually went in there before the campaign started.
Yeah.
Like the very limited times he actually went into the city proper.
Because we made trips into the city to go to the spot between Rakdos and Golgari territory.
Right.
So naturally he might see him there, but he did both times.
Yeah.
And Alistair just assumed he didn't remember.
Right.
I think he said he did remember one of them. But I thought he just assumed he didn't remember any of them. And then I think Angelo said he remembered the one where they met when they were 18.
Yeah. Well, that's why that was a little bit spoilery.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I put as his best childhood memory.
Oh,
so
that's
he
his...
fucking lied to you.
Oh.
Yeah. Because he said he remembered when you guys met when you were 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He remembers you like with your dad and a big wolf.
Oh, from when I was like 6.
When you were kids. He told you he had no idea. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember you from like a few years ago." Yeah, he remembers you from back then, and he lied about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Angelo's got some shit going on. He's real sneaky. He's real secretive for some fucking reason.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go to question 15.
Let's go to the next one. This one's a fun one. I like this one.
This one, we're going to link some songs for, because the question is, what song would be your Ravnica character's theme song?
We're going to be linking these in the description. So if you're watching this, just click a little description thingy and it'll pop down, and we should have the links to all of this music underneath everything.
I guess that's not too many. I was like, I might limit Kaz to like 3 of his songs, but it's 5 songs. It's not that big a deal.
I'll just mention the 5 songs. That's fine.
For Hex, Kyle put down Tinkerbat Factory by Jake Kaufman from the Shantae Half-Genie Hero soundtrack.
Oh, okay. It's a you'll all hear it if you go to listen to it, but it's it's got like a little bit of like a electric vibe. Not like electric, but it's got like a mechanical vibe to it.
Yeah.
But it's like video game music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a theme song. It's like if she came on during a video game, that'd be the song that played.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And then for Kaz, thank God you have this, because this is a lot.
For Kaz, Ryan said, "It is physically impossible for me to pick just one. So here's a list of tunes I'd pick for Kaz in no particular order. Stuck with some rock and western style jams that fit a few different scenarios. The 5 that he picked are the Turks theme from the Final Fantasy VII Remake soundtrack. He says it's definitely a good background piece in a Kaz-focused scene. If I had to select just one, this would be his theme.
Okay.
But as for the others, Bloodstained Philosophy from the Yakuza 6 soundtrack It's a good modern fight tune. The name of the song screams Boros to me, too. That's very true. Number 3 was Slinger's song from the Bastion soundtrack. It's another nice funk western track that he thinks suits him.
I love that soundtrack.
The Bastion soundtrack? Yeah, it's really fucking good. That whole company, every game they make has like amazing soundtracks.
Oops, all bangers.
Oops, all bangers. And number 4 was Moonlight Wandering from the Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. That's a PSP throwback, so good luck finding that on YouTube.
I found it on YouTube.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found it. Same as number 1. It's a good background track that's a bit lighter than the other number 1, but it's also a Final Fantasy VII song. And last but not least is West 7 from the Daemon X Machina soundtrack. Just a rocking combat.
Team.
Yeah, he's all about like big, like epic battle themes. That's kind of his motif, I get the sense. So that puts you next.
I wrote that I have a whole playlist for Alistair on Spotify. But for a theme song for him, Become the Beast by, I never tried to say this out loud.
I think it's Karliene.
Karliene?
Yeah.
Become the Beast by Karliene is probably what I'd pick for him for a song. But if I was going to pick a no-word theme, like for him in a game or something like that.
Like a soundtrack that doesn't have lyrics, yeah.
I'd pick Reflection from the Hollow Knight soundtrack.
That's a really good one for him. I love that.
I like that one. I like both of those are just very hit.
We are going to link those for sure. And then last but not least, it was actually really easy because I was like, we were sitting there just like playing music, and you were like, oh yeah, let me know if any of these are good for Alistair, because like I'm trying to narrow some down. So you were just playing songs off his playlist to kind of get a list, and then this song popped up, and I was like, no, this is his whole thing.
That's the thing, is it was so good for Angelo under speculation that I took it off of Alistair's playlist.
Yeah, it goes on Angelo's playlist.
Yeah, it's Angelo's.
Yeah, and the song is called "Let Down." It is by a Canadian pop punk band, hilariously also called "Let Down," but all one word. They're "Let Down" one word. The song is "Let Down" 2 words. I find that the lyrics for this song are a perfect match for him, and the musical style fits his style and his motif as well. It's very much something I can see him like writing.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. I totally recommend listening to every single one of those.
We will link these songs because I want you guys to listen to these songs.
If you guys are interested in some of these characters, and you're not, if you're a member of our D&D character or our D&D campaign, listen to them. But if you're interested in these characters at all and you're not a member of the campaign, I would say listen to these songs. These will give you a good sense of who they are as a person.
Okay, last question.
Final question.
And it's yours to read. I know we're at 2 hours.
I was surprised. I thought we were going to go long with this.
Longer than we did the last time. I thought this was going
to be a longer one. There's a lot of
especially because these answers are really long.
Yeah, these were hefty answers. I think a lot of the analysis was baked into the question.
Yeah.
Or baked into the answer, so we didn't have to spend as much time analyzing it. It makes sense. Anyway, but last but not least, if your Ravnica character had to go looking for the other members of the party, where would they think to go look for each person first?
Okay.
This is just where do they go?
Where you go to look for your party members, because we're part of the guild, so sometimes we have to go looking for each other.
Yeah, because sometimes we're not where we need to be.
Hex said, Hex does not know how to find Alistair reliably yet. They would have to head into the rubble belt and pray that they run into someone helpful and not murderous.
That sounds terrible.
That sounds like a...
Yeah, wow, that's rough.
For Angelo, they would look at any of the bars or taverns that they remember Angelo's band playing in and ask around from there.
Makes sense.
Casimir's the easiest to track down. They can just go to Sunhome and ask there.
Yep.
Katya is dead.
Katya!
No! But they're hoping to track down her soul and save it.
Yeah. Katya, for those of you who don't know, Katya was a guest character who was meant to be important and a member of their team from the first session. She was a Selesnyan cleric, an elven
Mm-hmm.
cleric that I had as a helper for them. And in order to kick off the next chapter of the campaign, introduce the big bad, and
Get us all to
get the
stick
story
together.
yeah, get you all to stick together. I fucking killed her.
Yep.
And I made them all fall in love with her. She was charming, she was sweet, and then I fucking murdered her.
Oh.
But they know her soul is still out there somewhere, that she hasn't. She's been soul trapped. So they're trying to rescue her.
Okay, for Kaz,
anyway,
for you.
so now for Kaz's opinions on things. If Kaz was going to look for Hex, he would go check her lab and listen for the sounds of runaway experiments. Fair enough. For Alistair, he would check in at the barracks and see if he's finally been arrested. And for Angelo, anywhere that's rowdy with a lot of music going on. So I guess a bar?
Fair enough.
You just go look at random bars and see if he was there. That's fair. I mean, you're not gonna have a hard enough fucking time finding Angelo. You might as well just
go to
try
bars
a bar and pray.
Oddly enough, for Alistair, I wrote, Alistair always seems to find Angelo by accident. At least with little effort. He knows that he knows at least one of Angelo's hangouts, so he'd probably try there first to see if he could get a trace of him.
Yeah.
Hex, Alistair would just knock on her door and see if she was at her house.
Yeah, fair enough. You do know where she lives.
Kaz, well, I know where Kaz would be, but I don't want to go there, so finding him might be really hard.
Yeah. I know he's probably at the fortress, but I feel like if I get within 8 miles of the fortress, I'm going to get shot. Yeah. So, I don't know.
I mean, if I went there and went to the barracks, Kaz would find me.
That's true. That's true. You'd be in chains, but he'd find you.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, they did their job finally. What about your job, big boy? Okay, last but not least. What the fuck?
What do you mean?
It's I like at the last moment for the last one. I just lost the page for some reason.
Oh, here, just read it off mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it off yours. I don't know why I did that. That's very odd. Anyway, so last but not least is Angelo's responses. And it's where would he think to look for them first, not where would I think.
Yeah, where would Angelo think to look for them?
About the question. Because I started to answer it. Oh, I just lost it on yours too.
What?
Yeah, we lost internet. That's why.
Oh, god damn it! 1 sec.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Okay, I'm not even gonna cut that. We got internet back. We're good.
Yeah. We're good. Okay, cool. We're good. So anyway, where was I? There I am. Okay. Where would he think to look for them first? Okay, because I was kind of explaining that before. I started answering it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I would be, but no, that's not what it's about. It's about where would Angelo look?
Yeah, where would Angelo look for us?
So for Cass, he said he'd probably be walking the beat, which means he would try to avoid him at all costs, because if he goes to find Kaz, he finds other cops too.
Right.
But if it was an off day and he knew it was an off day, he'd go to check with Vasul near Precinct 3, assuming he's probably training his dog.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the only other place he knows he goes to do stuff.
Yeah.
So he assumes, hey, I'll just go there, and worst comes to worst, I'll find the elephant guy and ask him when the last time he saw Kaz was.
Right.
That gives me a time frame for where the fuck he could be. For Hex, he would just go straight to her apartment. If it wasn't urgent, he'd probably break in and wait there, just to be dramatic.
That's funny.
But
do the thing with the light where you click it on, you're like, I've been waiting.
Yeah, exactly. However, if it was urgent, he would then just go straight to an Is It factory and ask around till he finds her. Ask like person to person, see what he can do.
Okay.
If he can't find her and they're not being helpful, he will dig into his Rakdos training to just start causing some absolute fucking chaos, and hopefully someone will go get Hex before he's either stops or is stopped.
Okay.
They'll always start like jumping on shit and like lighting sticks on fire and carrying them in across his mouth as he like runs across the like upper level of the building, and he's like dropping fire sticks. He's like, oh, I'm so clumsy. Somebody better get Hex or I'm gonna have to do more tricks. Like he'll probably just make a fucking mess and make a whole ruckus until she comes running to him.
It's so funny.
Because he assumes someone in the Is It will be like afraid of property damage enough that they'll run and go get her as an emergency to get me to stop. And for Alistair, this was an easy one. He's going to go find him at the only place he knows Alistair's going to end up sooner or later. The coffee shop.
That is fair.
Yep.
Alistair likes that coffee shop.
He's going to go to the coffee shop and he's just going to wait because eventually you'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that's
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, that's straightforward. That's what he knows he's got to do. But yeah, so that was everything. That was the whole question and answer.
And again, I just don't want it to end. I love these questions.
No, these questions are so cool. Like I said, I said it last time, but like I mean it especially so because like we even got to go a little bit more in depth and dig deeper into the characters for this one. If you're running a home D&D campaign and you're trying to get to know a little bit more about your characters, about the elements of the campaign, do something like this with your players. Like this is just a great way to like build character interactions and like get everybody more involved in who your character is.
It's a good way to get into a character's headspace.
Absolutely. You have to think about questions entirely from their perspective and answer as them. It helps you kind of understand their motivations more.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I totally love this.
I don't want to end it.
We're out of questions.
I know. We don't
have a choice.
We'll do more of these. Next time we're gonna do the Ravnica one.
Yes. Very much so. We're going to introduce them to like the setting and what a lot of this all means, so they have context when they go back and watch these episodes, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I get what they're talking about now."
And then I'm going to come up with something else, and then we'll do 2 more, and then we're probably coming back to a question one for the group, unless you have something else you want to do.
We'll figure it out.
I'm not saying this is guaranteed. This is the rough outline of what I'm intending.
Yeah, we'll figure out what we want to do.
But it's my turn to recommend something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
because this was technically one of my episodes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is what you wanted to do for your episode. It makes sense.
I'm gonna make sure I got the name of the thing right.
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious because I didn't have any real hint at what you might be recommending. I'm interested.
Oddly enough, it's not anything crazy you can like go watch or do. Okay. I actually want to recommend Sticker App to people.
Sticker App. Okay.
It's I guess it's kind of like more my thing, I suppose, because I use it to make stickers.
Sure, sounds like a thing it would do.
But if you have like pictures you want to turn into stickers or like anything like that, it's like one of the cheapest, like best like places that you can go to do that. Like a lot of the time when like I want to make gifts for people or things, I'm trying to figure out how to like make one enamel pin or like one sticker. Right, yeah. And while you can't do this on Sticker App, usually you have to buy like 500 like stickers for like $150. Yeah. And that's it. It's like mass producing.
Yeah, that's the only thing they can do, and it makes it not cost efficient to get like little custom stickers. Yeah.
But I got a bunch of things from my designs made. I bought 2 things of like 75 stickers, which is already too many, but I can like give them out to people and stuff. Right. It only cost me like $20.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, they have all these different types of like customizations you can do to the stickers. Right. Like if you get art made or if you know how to make art yourself. Yeah. You can go in there with a PNG, upload the picture, and then you can do like you can get it die cut.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So it's like it can like form a border around your picture without it already having one. Yeah. You can make that border thick, medium, small. You can forego it altogether and do a square, a circle. You can get waterproof stickers. You can get like repealable stickers, so you can actually peel them off of things and put them back on other things. You can get metallic stickers, sparkly stickers, clear background stickers. You can make sticker sheets.
Shit. There's a lot of options then.
Yeah, and I did like 79 of my die cut stickers for $26. It's like it's the most like reasonable amount of stickers for the cheapest amount of money that you can get anywhere I've seen. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure a lot of other people that wanted to get stickers made got them on Sticker Mule, and apparently they don't support BLM, and so...
Oh, really? Oh, no.
This is a good alternative if you make stickers.
Yeah, if you consider yourself a progressive, don't go to Sticker Mule. use Sticker App. They seem like they're dope.
But they also have other stickers you can buy. Like, you don't even have to, like, make stickers. You can just order other people's stickers. Like, if I didn't put mine up on the thing, but, like, you could buy my stickers. You can, like, look through things people already made.
Right.
And then buy them from them, and they get money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that sounds really sick. So if anybody has any cool stickers or, like, little things you want to do to, like, customize cards, that's a really cool way to do it.
Well, especially because the stickers that I made were Girl Clan potion bottles, and I'm planning on making all the different, I want to keep calling them clans,
because
the guilds.
It's Girl Clans, yeah, the guilds.
I'm making a bottle for each of the guilds.
Shit, that's awesome.
I'm gonna order those, so.
Yeah,
cheap, easy, and fun.
I also like the other sticker that you got, the no talk me.
Yeah, the holographic no talk me puppy with flowers and a banner.
No talk me, I ang.
Yeah.
It's perfect for you.
Yeah, I love it.
Flash
I've been sticking it on everything.
Yeah, you can flash one of those stickers whenever you need people to not perceive you.
Yeah, when people need to, like, no talk me.
Yeah, please no talk me.
I know that's kind of like a targeted recommendation, but...
I mean, if Sticker App wants to sponsor us, they can. That's fine. I could use the sponsorship money. Yeah, I got...
That or just get cool stickers.
I got food to eat. Yeah, just get cool stickers. Don't worry about that.
I mean, either. I'll take both.
They could also pay me. I'd be fine with that. Not, you don't have... You listeners don't have to pay me. Sticker App, they could pay me. If they want to. I wouldn't be opposed.
If not, I'm still buying their stickers. So
True.
It
doesn't change whether or not I buy their stickers. I would like to see... It's fine. Should sponsor us, Sticker App. Should sponsor us.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Green Giant.
Green Giant, yeah. Del Monte.
Del Monte corn, yeah. Pull a Markiplier. We'll snag the Del Monte corn promotion way before he does.
Oh my god, right out from underneath Markiplier.
Yep. Yeah, we'll steal it underneath him. Be like, I bet you wish you didn't have that $4 million home now. I bet you wish you had the corn sponsorship.
Bitch, corn sponsorship. Anyways.
Yeah, clearly we're better.
We will be back next week with our Del Monte sponsorship.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so look out for that. You all better be excited to hear about corn when we come back next week. Yeah. As always, thank you for listening. We're really glad that you all were kind of taking part in like giving some responses and asking some questions about the first episode we did. We really enjoyed doing that one. I really enjoyed doing this one, and I hope to do more things like this in the future.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with us. I love you. Bye.
Thanks. I love you. Bye.